Hi, tennis fans. Welcome to Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I am your host, IBJ, and in today's episode, I will be overviewing players to look out for in the upcoming season. And I just want to say, is the sound quality better? Because I switched a chord and I think it sounds better when I'm recording it. But please tell me if you think the sound quality is actually better because I'm not sure. Anyways, so before we begin, please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using at Tennis Traverse, that is at Tennis Traverse. And if you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. If you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show and let's get right into today's episode. Okay, so today's episode is basically previewing the upcoming season, like I said in my intro, but I just want to say that because last week I kind of did something that's different, like I previewed the different Grand Slams. Sorry, I can't think right now, but I previewed the different Grand Slams, so I didn't really get to mention tennis news, but there was actually a tournament going on for the men's side, which is called the Next Gen ATP Finals, which is a bunch of new people. They participate and compete to see who's the final best player out of everyone, and that player normally goes on to achieve good things such as Carlos Alcaraz. So I'll just mention it in today's video, but it's gonna be incorporated into the players that you guys should look out for. But let's just start with the WTA side first, which is the women's side. So I split it up into several categories, even though it might be kind of vague. So the first category, in my opinion, is already top ranked players. So it's just to list some Iga Swiatek because obviously she became world number one even after losing that spot. She proved to everyone that she's still deserving of that spot. Coco Gauff, she won the U.S. Open. Everyone loves her. She's really young. Arina Sabalenka, she kind of stole that number one place from Iga, and I feel like next season there's gonna be a really intense rivalry between between Iga Swiatek and Arina Sabalenka, and it's gonna be really fun. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And then Ons Jabbar, I kind of put her here just because why not? And to be honest, she really didn't have an amazing year considering that she didn't go too far in a lot of tournaments. However, she did go really far in Wimbledon. However, she still didn't get her first Grand Slam title, so there's definitely something to talk about. And then I put Zheng Qinwen, which is a tennis player I really like, and she's currently ranked number 14, and she might not necessarily belong in this category because she didn't go any too far to all of the Grand Slams, but I feel like she's just one of those players that are really young and has been always kind of making herself known throughout the seasons, and maybe next season will be a breakout year for her because she did really good towards the end, even though she part ways with her coach Wim Fissette, but she still did really good. So yeah. And then here are just some players that I think, well, there's two, but here are just two players I think didn't really have the greatest year in the last season. However, I feel they're obviously great players. So they are Maria Sakkari and Caroline Garcia. So Maria Sakkari really didn't have the best year. I'll just say it. However, she did manage to have kind of a good end to the year because she managed to get the title in Guadalajara, which is an 1,000 WTA title, which is really good, and it helped her with her ranking. She ultimately went to the WTA finals. However, she did lose, I believe, all 3 rounds. So yeah. And then it's Caroline Garcia, and she really didn't have the best year. Last year she was really good. I believe last season. That's kind of weird. I'm getting all the things mixed up because the season just ended. Okay, so I'll call the season that just ended the 2022 to 23 season, and then the other season the last season, if that makes any sense. Okay, so Caroline Garcia had a great last season. However, for the 2022 to 2023 season, she really didn't have the best year. She really didn't do that well compared to, the previous season, because in her previous season, she got the WTA final trophy and she did really well. She made a huge run, great deep run at the US Open, I'm pretty sure. But this year, we just didn't hear much from her. However, I feel like she's a really talented player. So, yeah, really looking forward to seeing more of her. And here are just some newcomers that I think you guys should look out for. So the first one is Amelia Ringo. I just really love her. I really like the style and the way she like fights on court. So her, and then Peyton Stearns. I believe I told a story on this podcast before, but like me and my friends were watching Layla Ferdinand's practice, and then we kind of wanted autographs, but Layla had like a practice immediately after, so she didn't like sign anyone. However, we're like, oh my god, it's Peyton, and we kind of didn't know her, but we're like, okay, it's like someone. So we just like we got a selfie with her and everything, and she was so nice, and she made a really deep run at the US Open. I believe she got to the semifinals, which is like super impressive. So yeah, I'm just really happy. I'm always rooting for her, and she's like one of my favorite players, and she is still like a favorite player among like all my friends who like got selfies with her, because she's like actually super nice. And then it's Emma Navarro. So I guess she's really young, and she kind of is like a huge ranking climber, because she is now ranked world number 32, and she's also from the United States, which means that there's a lot of fans from the US cheering for her. And in my opinion, she did really well, because she like climbed the rankings a lot, and I'm just looking at looking at the ranking climber, and she climbed like in the beginning of the season, she was ranked 143, and now she's ranked 32, which is super impressive, and I think she's definitely someone to look out for. And I believe in like Guadalajara, I'm pretty sure she beat Madison Keys, which is like a huge upset, so definitely look out for her. Okay, now we're moving on to some players that are coming back, and they might just be really good. So the first one is Emma Raducanu, which is like obviously a US Open title winner. So I feel like she's quite unstable with her way of playing tennis. Like she sometimes does really really well in tournament, like reaches the final or the semifinals or like the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam. However, sometimes she just have like round one exits, and to be honest, for the past few years, the round one exits has been happening really often, and I really like her style of tennis. Like I know a lot of people doesn't, but I feel like she kind of finds the opportunity to attack instead of just like being really aggressive, if that makes any sense. But yeah, and I really hope that she makes like at least one huge run. And from like looking at her Instagram feed, I can see and I can tell that she's been training a lot on court. She keeps on posting like her tennis stuff, which makes me really excited about the upcoming season. Okay, moving on to the last one. I guess I saved the best for last. Sorry. Okay, kidding. Not really. But it's Naomi Osaka, my favorite. But she's also a player definitely you guys should be on the lookout for. I haven't seen Naomi play tennis for like over a year, and that like just waiting to see her go back on court, like it just makes me so happy that she can finally be on court and she can actually enjoy herself again. And she's a mother, which is like a huge responsibility. And I'm kind of excited to see how that kind of changed her style of tennis, if it will. And I guess I kind of feel like she found her passion again, because she keeps on posting on her Instagram story and like talking about how like from taking such a long break from tennis, she realized that she really loves tennis. And she even talked about her daughter, growing up and watching her play, which I find is super cute, and I really hope it happens like how like Serena Williams, like her daughter is watching Serena play. It's like the same thing. And her first tournament is going to be in Brisbane in January, so I'm like super excited. I think it's gonna be like really bad for my mental health, because obviously she's just coming back from pregnancy and giving birth, so she probably won't be in her best shape, but like still it's Naomi, so I'm gonna be really excited about that. Okay, sorry, I'm just like too excited about her. We'll move on to the ATP, which is the men's side. So it's like basically the same format as I did with the women's, but it's still just gonna be the top ranking players. So first is Novak. Not really that much explaining to do. Like it's Novak. Like he, I feel like had like one of his best career years this like last season. So to be honest, like I can't really. I don't know. I don't know how he can somehow top that. Maybe like a Golden Slam. That's the only thing. But of course, I'll talk about Rafa, but like later. But Rafa might stop him. I don't know. But next season, it's gonna be really fun because Rafa's gonna compete. So yeah. And then Yannick Sinner, just because Yannick is Yannick, like he had like this great run at the end of the season, like beating Novak in the group stage. So I think he might like do well, maybe even claim his Grand Slam title if Novak doesn't just like, destroy everyone. Because Novak is Novak, he can do anything. Carlos Alcaraz, obviously him, because he's just amazing. He's so young. His style of tennis is super fun. Like I talked about in my previous episodes with Aaron Basked. If you guys remember him, we talked about the drop shots and how he's like definitely one of the most entertaining players on tour. So I think that's something definitely to look out for. It's just like if he like even reclaims his Wimbledon title again like twice in a row, that would be really fun. And then Alexander Zverev. I know he's been recovering from a devastating injury, but this year he made like a deep run, and I'm just really excited to see him competing again. I don't think he's gonna win a Grand Slam, but I think he's gonna go deep, maybe to like a final or semifinals of a tournament, to like a Grand Slam tournament. Daniel Medvedev, to be honest, I really hope he gains another hardcore Grand Slam title because I feel like he's deserving of one. And I really hope he does better on clay because like he surprised everyone by winning a title on clay, but then up to French Open, which is like the Grand Slam, he like just lost round one, which was like everyone was like what? Because everyone thought he was gonna win Roland Garros because of how well he played in the previous tournaments. But yeah, it's whatever. So I just really hope that he does well on clay and do really really well on hard courts. Then this might be a little weird. It's like Zheng Qinwen on a women's side, but I put Grigor in here because Grigor had like one of the best years this year. It's like I believe his second best year. His best year is definitely 2017, but like this year's one of his best years. Like he went to the final of Paris Master and then he lost to Novak. But to be honest, if it's any player other than Novak, he would have won. But like it's Novak, so like I said multiple times before, Novak is Novak. You can't really do anything about it. So, okay. Now we'll move on to players that really didn't have the best year, but we'll just talk about it. So, first is Andrei Rublev and Holger Rune. I put them together. This is kind of like a weird category because I feel like they did have good years, but like I think their goal now is not to just like win easy titles, like 500 titles. Their goal now is to go really deep into like Grand Slams, like maybe semifinals, quarterfinals, even like maybe finals. And for the other tournaments, for the 1,000 tournaments, to go also like make deep runs consistently. So I think that's one of their goals. And to be honest, I feel like Andrei Rublev needs to like, even though a lot of people love him, I feel like he needs to kind of put himself together when he's playing on a big stage against like the top players. And Holger, I feel like I don't know, he's really young and I just want to see more of him, so I put them here. They're not really in a category, but whatever. And then here are just three players that I think they can do better compared to this year. So the first one is FAA, which is Felix Auger-Aliassime. So I also talked about him in my episode with Aaron, but he's like Aaron's favorite player, and he really had like the most underwhelming year, I could say, because he just didn't do well. So like I really hope he does better, and I hope he like makes consistent runs, even though if it's like in smaller tournaments, like if it's in 500 or 250 tournaments, as long as he like make deep runs, then it's like a sign of improvement. And then I'll talk about my two favorite players who like didn't do well this year. Lorenzo Musetti, even though I would say that he had like kind of a good ending, because Team Italy, which is where he is from, they beat, I believe, Australia, and they claimed the title to the Davis Cup. So it's like a kind of like a highlight in the end of the season, towards the end of the season. But apart from that, he really didn't have like huge runs, except no, there's no exceptions. I don't think so. Like, even though he participated in like a lot of 250 tournaments, he still really didn't do like super well. I believe he had one title, if I'm not mistaken. Well, apart from the Davis Cup thing. And then it's Casper Ruud, my favorite. Everyone knows that. But he really did not have the best year. He didn't even qualify for the ATP finals, which I'm kind of like sad about. I'm kind of annoyed at him. Not annoyed at him, but I'm just really sad about. And I feel like he had like a good, not a start to the year, but he had like a good clay swing because obviously he made it to the Roland Garros for the second time in a year, even though he lost, but still. And however, he just, I don't know, but I feel like he's been playing more with the defensive strategy, and I don't really think it's a good thing. Like, obviously, you need to defend, but like, I feel like he's been too defensive, and that like is slowly leading to him like losing more matches. But that could just be me, though. I'm like nowhere near someone who can coach tennis, but that's just what I noticed, and I don't know. I really hope he makes some significant changes, and he's been posting on his Instagram story as well as to like how he's training in Norway, which I find is super inspirational. And yeah, I just hope he does better in his next season. Okay, we'll move on to like new generation players, like new players. So the first is Arthur Fields, and the other one is Hamad Medjedovic. So in case you guys didn't remember, I talked about how like the next generation ATP finals thing took place like last week when I was recording my other episode, but it was like basically the top people competing for the men's side. There's no women's side to this tournament, and then these two are the finalists. And I believe a lot of you guys have heard of Arthur Fuse. So he actually competed in the Labours Cup for, I believe, Team Europe. However, he lost, which is understandable. Like Team Europe did horrible this year, but yeah. And the other player, I don't believe a lot of you guys have heard of him. He's Hamad Medjedovic, and the next gen ATP finals was actually like the finals of that tournament was actually pretty intense. Like the score, because they play out of 4 games. It's like a set, but it's a set to 4. And let me just read to you guys the scores. So, and then they play best of 5. So the score is Arthur winning by 8-6 in a tiebreak, and then losing 1-4, 2-4. Sorry, I just whacked my light. Okay, it's fine. One. So okay. Anyways, he started with the score of 8-6 in the tiebreak in the first set, and then he lost 1-4, and then he lost 2-4, and then he won another tiebreak by the score of 11-9, and then he lost by the score of 1-4. Wow, that's a mouthful, but yeah. So it's like a really tight match, and I feel like these two are definitely players you guys should look out for, because so far, like, the next gen ATP finals, every time it happened, like, the winner of it is a super impressive player. So for example, Carlos Alcaraz won, which, like, he now is like one of the best players in the world. Like he's been ranked world number 1 before, so like definitely look out for them. And then the other players are just comeback players. So I want to talk about Rafael Nadal first, because I'm just looking forward to the matchup. Novak versus Rafa. It's gonna be superb. It's gonna be like, we have waited for this moment for so long. I hope they verse each other in clay, because like, to be honest, I don't think Rafa holds a chance of like beating Novak on hard court, but like Rafa's Rafa. It's like the same thing I said about Novak, but like they're all insane players. So maybe, who knows, maybe Rafa will surprise everyone. But I really hope Rafa wins Roland Garros this year, because it's probably his last year like on tour. So, and then it's Matteo Berrettini, which is the last player I'm gonna talk about. So he is actually really impressive. He had like a great run. He's in excellent form, and then he twisted his ankle during US Open, and it was really sad. It was like the whole scene with like Alexander Zverev during French Open again. He was like rolling on the ground, and he had to be escorted out with a wheelchair. It was just super sad, and I just really hope that he can recover in time for the upcoming season. And wait, I think that just wraps up today's episode. That one was like kind of long, but it felt so short. I just talked and it's like reaching 20 minutes, but thank you so much for listening. Please follow all of my social medias, that is Instagram and Twitter, using @tennisshivers, that is @tennisshivers. If you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. And if you're listening on other streaming platforms, please rate my show. And I just want to say, this is my 16th episode, and I'm like reaching 20 episodes. That's just crazy to me. And when I was checking, like, as I said this before, like so many times, but it's just super like mind blowing to me. I was checking my analytics again, and I see y'all from like Sweden listening to me. That's just so like, I don't know, it's just super crazy to think about. I'm here recording this in the US, and there's like people from legit all around the world. That's just mind blowing to me. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.